October 6, 2021. October 6, 2021. That day marks the first and only time to this day that the House Committee on Natural Resources held a hearing on the Luma contract at the request of Ranking Member Grijalva and myself. It took this committee 2 long years to finally examine Puerto Rico's energy crisis, and in that time, the situation has only worsened. Puerto Rico endured the devastation of Hurricane Fiona and Tropical Storm Ernesto, the latter striking just last month. As a result, half of the island's energy consumers, or 750,000 households, were left in darkness. A full week after the storm, 40,000 people were still without power. The reliable, resilient, and clean energy future that Luma promised Puerto Ricans has yet to materialize. It is shameful that this committee has chosen the last day on September's calendar, when many members are already flying back to their district to hold this critical hearing. And it's very nice to come and criticize the administration, but why we didn't have this hearing 6 months ago, a year ago, and use every tool at our disposal to compel the federal agencies to come before us. This is a convenient platform for certain members to feign interest in Puerto Rico's energy future. But let's be clear. Congress had ample time to question Luma, Genera, Core 3, and all other key players about what has happened with the over $21 billion allocated to repair and modernize the grid. Republicans are only addressing this now as the current Congress nears its end and are pushing a proposal to diversify Puerto Rico's energy sources. This so-called diversification plan could be construed as a path to keep Puerto Rico reliant only on fossil fuels and natural gas, ensuring that residents continue to pay 41% more for energy than the average U.S. consumer. Since these energy sources must be imported, their ability to lower kilowatt-hour prices is minimal. Moreover, this hearing is incomplete. Key agencies responsible for managing the grid's reconstruction, FEMA, the Department of Energy, and notably the Puerto Rico Public-Private Partnership Authority, P3, one of the few entities with oversight of Luma, are not present. Despite these significant limitations, I hope today's hearing can still be productive. We need to understand how Congress can better support the restoration of Puerto Rico's grid moving forward. Above all, we must commit to achieving energy justice and reliability for the island. Puerto Ricans have suffered from long-standing government neglect, and it is time to break this cycle. I yield back. Mr. Saca, is it true that Puerto Ricans experience 4 additional hours of outages during fiscal year 2024, reflecting a 19% increase compared to the previous year?
I do not have the exact number, but certainly the outages are real, correct.
Okay. I guess that you haven't checked the Puerto Rico Energy Bureau's resolution, because that information is contained in the report. So is it also true that for the same fiscal year, Luma saw a 17% increase in profit compared to fiscal year 2021?
An increase in what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
A 17% increase in profit compared to fiscal year 2021.
In profit?
Yes.
We are the systems operator. It's important for everyone to understand that there is not there is a fee that is paid, and as a systems operator, if we save, let's say, $1 million, this is not something that goes, to the pocket of the owners
Okay, so-
of the grid.
I guess we should have a conversation with Mr. Torres Medina, Associate Commissioner, who can clarify on this information that has been made public by the Bureau. Mr. Saca, is Luma working with FEMA and Fish and Wildlife proactively to ensure vegetation clearing progresses quickly?
Not fast enough.
We know that delays for environmental assessment and permits is often because agencies lack staff and resources. Would it be beneficial if Congress gave more resources?
100%, and I'll go further than that. This is a huge emergency in Puerto Rico, and the number one thing that the federal government can do is to provide some type of waiver responsibly so that we can do a safe job at accelerating. This is the number one short-term action that could be taken because at this point, and I'll be happy to read to you the time frames that
Reclaiming
it's
my
taking.
time, what I'm trying to say is we cannot expect for the federal agencies to do the work at the speed that the people in Puerto Rico deserve when their budget has been cut dramatically. So we cannot expect more with less. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. Mr. Saca, it has surfaced that your company spends over $200 million a year on employees seconded from companies that are part of Luma's consortium. 20% of these funds are used for lavish hotels, stays, allocation for themselves and their spouses. How can Luma justify this exorbitant dollar amount while everyday Puerto Ricans have to almost weekly throw away their food from the fridge due to the constant outages?
In order to address the complex and massive challenge that Luma faces as a result of everything that we've just discussed, we have personnel from inside of Puerto Rico and from outside of Puerto Rico that are necessary for the transformation. It is important to understand.
You're not going to answer my question. Madam Chair, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter a letter from PREPA to the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. Saca, it is estimated that more than 5 gigawatts of solar capacity will be installed in Puerto Rico over the next 10 years, with only 8.8% coming from the utility scale segment. Do you consider the grid is equipped to absorb the growing number of households that will have solar and battery systems?
The answer is that it depends at the rate in which we're able to make progress in upgrading the grid.
So it's a yes or not?
It is, with all due respect, Madam, it is really not a yes or no answer. This is related specifically to how quickly we're able to upgrade the equipment, how quickly we're able to get reliability
Thank you.
up.
Reclaiming my time. Mr. Montgomery, would you please, you answer a question to Mr. Torres saying that you need to install more power plants, temporary power plants in Puerto Rico to achieve more capacity. So what is happening with this Aguirre plan? I checked today and it's out of service.
You may go ahead and answer.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for your question. First, let me say, Puerto Rican ratepayers and residents deserve better in terms of the reliability of the equipment. As to Aguirre, when I checked this morning, coming into this hearing, kind of on our operational system, I did see that they had an issue with one of the units. I would have to follow up to see exactly what happened after we walk out of here.
It's out, right? 200,000 people could get service out of that plan. Do you have any plan to have it functionally working? Is that part of your energy resiliency plans?
Thank you for your question. One of the key strategies of Genera in the short term, which is something that can make an impact to Puerto Ricans today, not 10 years from now, is a critical component replacement program, which I think was mentioned on this panel. $126 million that is being invested in motors, pumps, boiler tubes, and other items that routinely break. The availability of aguirre in 2022 was essentially zero. One of the big reasons that FEMA put in the program. It is a notoriously unreliable plant because of its age. But in terms of strategy, the most near-term strategy is to provide critical components and repairs to try to get the availability
Will you
up.
submit for the record the Department of Energy's Puerto Rico 100 study that found that Puerto Rico can reach 100% renewables by 2050?